Hello, and welcome to episode 27 of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name is Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our cats Alex and Moo. Today is March, what day is it? 16th? Sorry, I have my notes over here. It's March 16th, it's Saturday, it's a beautiful, warm, sunny day. Here in Ohio, spring has definitely sprung. The grass is getting greener, the trees are just starting to get their leaves, all the beautiful magnolia trees in our neighborhood are blossoming, and it is feeling like spring. So in that mindset, it's been a very busy 3 weeks in my life, but I also have a lot of fun new projects to share with you all. So we're gonna jump right in. All of my social media, Instagram, Ravelry information is available in the description box below, as well as tags and links for any of the patterns and things that I talk about today. So, am I forgetting anything? I feel rusty. It's been 3 weeks. I keep wanting to get back to a more regular, like 2 weeks between episodes kind of schedule, but it's just been a really crazy time with lots going on. I've been sick, work has been busy, so happy to be here today. And I'm gonna jump right in with what I am wearing, which is also my first finished object. And let me stand up and show it to you. So this is the Ursa by Jacqueline Cieslak. I think I had this mostly finished on the last episode, or maybe I had just started the sleeves. The pattern is available up to a 66-inch bust. I made the size 5, which is a 50-inch bust, giving me about 6 inches of positive ease, and it did come in right at that measurement. And I'm really, really pleased with it. So I had previously knit the Ursina, which is the worsted weight version of this pattern. This is the original version, the bulky weight version. And the yarn is EcoView Fiber Mills Ranger Merino bulky, which unfortunately has been discontinued, but it's this really beautiful blue, kind of like a medium blue. It is a single ply, so soft and nice to wear. So you can see the pattern has this V-neck, which is just finished by picking up and immediately binding off the stitches. And then the really cool thing about the sweater are the brioche details. So there is a brioche raglan detail as well as at the center front. And then it has this triangle of brioche on the front and also on the back. So this is the length called for in the pattern. It is the perfect crop length for me. Some people may find it too short, but Jackie does give directions in the pattern that if you want to increase the body length, you add length here before starting the triangle. The pattern also has bust starts built in. So I did the smallest size of bust starts, and honestly, I'm not really sure if I need them or not. I'm just wearing a bralette under this right now, and I feel like I do have a little bit of extra fabric, but if I were wearing like a more structured bra, I think it would probably fit a little bit better through here. However, I'm really happy with it. The sleeves are pretty fitted, but they're not too tight. Yeah, so you can see that extra little bit of fabric there, but it doesn't stop me from wearing it. There's a brioche detail under the arm, and then here's the back. Yeah, really pleased with how it turned out. One other thing I would change if I were to knit this again, so on my Ursina, the worsted weight version, the sleeves I knit to pattern and they're very long, like they come to the top of my finger or the bottom of my fingers, and I didn't want the sleeves on this one to be quite that long, so I stopped them early, and I probably could block a little bit more length out of them. I kind of would like them to be about here, and in reality they're about here. So I do wish I had about maybe another inch or so on the sleeve, but like I said, I'm overall very happy with how this turned out. That brioche detail also continues down the underarm. And yeah, I love the color. I think the fit is very comfortable. It is definitely a wider V-neck. I think part of my problem is that I keep pulling the sleeves down and that's pulling the shoulder, but it is a wider V-neck. So Jackie also gives instructions in the pattern on how to bring the neckline in more if you would prefer that, but I really like quite an open neckline. So yes, very pleased with it. Love the color, love the fit. It's very warm and cozy. And I think that's all I had to say about it. I've been wearing it quite a bit actually. We're out to brunch for my sister's birthday and I've just been throwing it on in the morning in the house when it's a little bit chilly and really enjoying it. So that's what I'm wearing. I'm also wearing a pair of Nini culottes, which is a sewing pattern that I really love from Named. That's the pattern brand, and they're just in black linen. And I'm also wearing some hand knit socks, which I was just about to try and lift my leg up here, but it's not gonna happen. I guess I can take them off my foot and show you. They're a little dirty, but yeah, these are my Advent socks. They are the Woolens and Nosh Holiday Advent from 2023, and I love them. They're some of my favorite socks that I made last year. So very cozy me-made outfit today. All right, my next finished object is a pair of socks, and I don't think you've seen these before. I think that I knit them entirely on my trip to Chicago. So that was almost 3 weeks ago at this point. It was 3 weeks ago. Is that right? 2 or 3 weeks ago, which seems crazy. But yes, and I'll talk more about that at the end. But my friend and I took a trip to Chicago to visit a mutual friend of ours who lives there. And these were my trip project. So here they are. Crazy, like fun watermelon-y socks. So I'm currently knitting a lot of the sock patterns from the Sock Project, which was Summer Lee's new sock book. And even though a lot of the ones I'm starting with are the more basic patterns, oh, there's Moo right on cue, yelling at us. It's been really nice to just kind of, I feel like in the past like 6 months or so, I've knit a lot of like really basic vanilla socks without using a pattern and just kind of knit the same thing over and over again, the same formula. So it's been nice to have her book as a reference to just kind of refresh and refine my skills, make sure I'm doing everything properly, and learning some new techniques, like specifically different heels and stuff, which I'll talk about a little bit more in the whip section. But this is the DK ribbed sock from her book. So I held fingering weight yarn double for the main part of the sock, and then for the toe, same thing. This is fingering weight yarn held double, just in this fun kind of contrasting color. The main yarn is something I picked up in a D-stash. It is Stitch Together, Stitch Classic, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and the color is Strawberry Moon. And it is this really fun, like pink and white with these little green and black speckles. Definitely feels very summery, very watermelon-y. And it feels thicker. So it was 434 yards for 100 grams, but held double. I don't know if it's because of the higher wool content. It knit up really thick. So these are real chunky. And then for the toe, this is just a little mini that I had kicking around. The brand is Charming You. It's their sock base and the color is Apple Orchard. But this was perfect because it's that green, but then it has little specks of like white and pink. So I thought they were really friendly. And one thing Summer Lee does so well is like her color mixing and color blocking, same thing I guess, and just like a lot of pop heels and toes. So I'm trying to incorporate a little bit more of those elements into my sock knitting right now, as opposed to just knitting everything in one color. So yeah, I was really pleased with how these turned out. There's a little bit of pooling on the foot, but nothing too bad. I think they turned out really cute. And for now, these are just gonna go in my sock box, but I have a feeling these may end up being a gift for someone else. And these just have a heel flap and gusset. Okay, my next 3 finished objects are all the same pattern. And it's something it seems like everyone in the world is knitting right now, and it is the emotional support chicken. So I kept seeing everyone knitting this, and it's been in the top patterns on Ravelry for like months at this point, and I finally had to jump on the bandwagon and knit some of these chickens. So just because they're so fun and silly. So I was talking to Jane, who goes to our craft night here locally, the one that I host, and I was like, Jane, will you knit the chicken with me? Like, let's do it together, because I didn't want to be the only one knitting the chicken. So Jane and I cast on the chickens together, and immediately we're like, we're gonna make like a bunch of these. So this is actually the last one I finished, but it's the only one I still have. So I'm gonna show you this one first. And this is the one that I made for myself. This is Agnes. Say hello. Hello. She's cute. Look at that. So yeah, I've made 3 of these now in the past few weeks, and it's so interesting. I used the same needle size, I used worsted weight yarn for all of them, but they all turned out totally different sizes. So Agnes is the smallest chicken that I've made. She is made out of Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock worsted. The main color is Northern Lights, which I hope you can see all the color variation in there. It's a really pretty, colorful neutral. And then she has, her stripes are a few different colors of the same yarn base that I just have little mini skeins of. This is so fun to knit. I do understand the appeal and why it, like, knitting it is emotional support, but also just like having it as like a little stuffy, like a little cozy object or a little pillow is also just, you just kind of give it a hug. It's very nice. And like I said, it's very fun. It's all short rows, it's all garter, so you know there's no purling. It's, if you choose to add the stripes, that's like a fun little detail. The comb and the beak are also just some little minis that I picked up at a yarn store in Chicago. That's also where I got this yarn, and I'll talk about that more at the end. I ordered some safety eyes. I don't know, there's not, I feel like everyone's made it at this point, so I don't know how much there is to say about it, but it is very, very fun to make. So basically you start with the tail, you knit like each side of the tail separately, seam them, and then you start knitting in, you know, back and forth to like form the rest of the body. Then you knit the bottom panel, and then you just seam it all up. I did omit the wattles from mine, so the pattern calls for the comb and the wattle to be made in the red. Excuse me, I'm still getting over the tiniest bit of cough from having the flu like over a month ago. And I don't like the wattle, it freaks me out. So I didn't put it on any of mine. So I just think it's cuter without it. Personal preference. I love the little comb. I think that is so cute. Maybe it'll focus there. Oh, now it looks like I'm a chicken. It's fine. Yes, so this is Agnes Martin. She's named after my favorite artist, Agnes Martin. And I, as I said, have also made 2 other ones. So this was actually the last one. I just finished it the other day. First, I made one for Troy, and I'll put a picture of it. Oh, careful, Agnes. I'll put a picture of that one in here. His I made out of a skein of Patton's Classic Worsted in this like gray and white barber pole that I just had like kicking around. And I think this is actually my favorite one, I have to say. It knit up the most dense fabric, I think, because it maybe is slightly heavier. It's like on the heavier side of worsted. And it just really looks like a chicken. Like that gray and white is such a great combo. I also stuffed this version with yarn scraps instead of fiberfill. So I've been keeping all of my yarn scraps for the past 2.5 years since I started knitting, and I just had them in a big trash bag, and every single bit of yarn scrap got stuffed into this chicken. So it's super heavy and really dense, and it just has a very nice weight to it. This one is definitely my favorite. I love Agnes, don't get me wrong, but I really love this one. I love them both equally, it's fine. This one, Troy has named Maynard James Keenan, which is named after a singer that he really likes, I think from Tool or something. I don't know. I don't know who it is, but that's Maynard. And this is Agnes, and they're friends. And the last one that I made for my sister, who just had a birthday, so it was like kind of a silly little birthday present for her, is super crazy, but it was so fun because I knit it out of my first hand spun yarn. So here's a picture. My sister loves all things bright and colorful. So she got the crazy teal rainbow speckled chicken with pink stripes. And this one turned out enormous. It is like so big, and she said to make it extra fat, so I put extra fiberfill in. It's so fat and it's so big and it's so cute, and I love this one as well. They all have like a very different vibe, which is so funny because it's the exact same pattern, but they each definitely have their own personality. So this has been named by my sister Leclerc because she's recently gotten very into F1 and is a fan of Leclerc. So this is Leclerc, and he has racing stripes and everything. So yes, those are my emotional support chickens. I definitely think I will make more in the future. I think they would be great as gifts for my friends' kids. I kind of want to try making a smaller one, like maybe one that's more like this size by using smaller needles and like DK or fingering weight yarn. So we'll see, but for now I kind of got it out of my system. I knit 3 of these in like a week and a half, and I had so much fun making each and every one of them, but now I need a little break. So I could definitely see myself making more, but for now I feel like I've made 3 really cute versions that I love, and everybody has a chicken, so we'll see if I make any more. I'm really curious if you have made the emotional support chicken. Please comment below and tell me what the name of yours is, because they all have really fun names. And that is it for my finished objects. So sweaters, socks, and a whole herd of chickens. A flock? Is that the like term for a group of chickens? Like a gaggle of hens or something? I don't know. Also let me know below if you know what the term is. All right, so let me switch over to my works in progress. Okay, so my first couple of works in projects are works in progress are socks, some pretty basic socks. Both are patterns from Summer Lee's new book, The Sock Project. And like I said, I kind of wanted to just methodically work through a lot of the patterns in her book because I want to knit almost all of them, but especially the basic socks at the beginning of her book, where she teaches all the different heel, toe, cuff, like toe up, cuff down constructions, just because I feel like there's always room to refine and improve our technique when it comes to the basics. And as someone who knits a lot of socks, that is important to me. So I think this was also a new cast on for me since last time. I think I have a lot of new cast ons today. So yes, this is basic sock number 1 from oh my gosh, I apologize, I'm out of practice. From Summer Lee's book, which is just the basic cuff down, heel flap and gusset sock. This is the fingering weight version, and here is what I have. So there's 2 options for this pattern in the book. There is one that has a 2x2 ribbed cuff with a little contrast cuff detail, and then the rest of the sock is just knit in a solid color. Or there was an option that had a contrast toe instead, and I believe that one had a 2x1 ribbing. But I really thought that the contrasting cuff was cute, so I'm using this chartreuse for the cuff, which is Lang gel wool that was gifted to me a couple of years ago. Let me see, I don't have the tag anymore, so I can't tell you the color, unfortunately, but it is this really pretty chartreuse green. I will say this is definitely on the thinner side for fingering weight yarn. It knits up really nicely. I've used it for socks before, but it is noticeably thinner than the main yarn I'm using, which is this really pretty variegated purple that has bits of like brown and the yellow in it. And this yarn I picked up when we were in Seattle from Pike Place Market. There are 2 different yarn stores in the market, and this is by MJ Yarns. It is their Sophistisock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 10% tencel, which I thought was an interesting blend. And it does give the sock yarn like a really nice soft drapiness. And the color is purple moss. So I'm knitting these on DPNs. You can see I knit about 3/4 of an inch in the 2x2 rib, about the same amount in just stockinette on the leg. It's about a 3-inch leg in total. Then we've got the heel flap and gusset here, the traditional construction. And then I've just started on the leg. So quite a bit more to go on these. This is also the first one, but I'm really enjoying how they're coming out. I think this color blocking is a really cute detail. And yeah, I need to just sit down and finish this one. But those have been very fun and meditative. I have been keeping them in this bag, which is a Japanese rice bag pattern. And I purchased this from a local maker at a market around the holidays. And it's just this really cute patchwork bag. It has some shibori stitching on it. I really love this. This has kind of become my go-to like sock project bag, like on the go, like keeping it in the car. And I love it because it has a flat bottom, and it has these like the drawstrings that you can carry it by, but it also opens up really wide. Like I had 2 sock projects worth of yarn and needles and stuff in here the other night. So holds a lot, but it also has the flat bottom. Really like this bag. And I think you can buy the pattern to make it. So I kind of want to try making some because I really like it a lot. All right. Next one is also a new cast on. I just cast this on the other night, so something else I'll talk more about at the end, but my friend Jess, who, if you're watching, hi Jess, I'll be talking about you a lot in this one. She came to visit from out of town just for a night, and we got to hang out together for a bit, which was really fun. And she was so kind and brought me a pair of 2.5 millimeter bamboo chiaogu sock knitting needles, like a longer cord length, because she wanted to teach me how to do magic loop, which I'm sure I told her that it scared me and I didn't know how to do it. So we sat down after we like went out to dinner and she taught me how to do magic loop. And it's not as scary as I thought. So I decided to use this chance to make the second basic sock pattern from Summer Lee's book, which is the Afterthought heel. So in her book, she has this pattern written as cuff down, but we started this sock toe up, and I think since it's the Afterthought heel and you're just knitting a tube anyway, totally fine to modify this one for me anyway. So here's what I have. So the toe color is the same yarn, the same base as the chartreuse from the sock I just showed you. It's the Lang Jaw wool. And then I have this really pretty neutral self-patterning yarn. This is the ball. I picked this up at Moon and Yarn Craft Room in Pittsburgh when I was there for their grand opening weekend. And this yarn it's universal yarn. The base is Sugar Sake, unless that's the color and I'm messing that up. No, okay, Sugar Sake. It is 50% superwash merino, 25% bamboo, and 25% nylon. So another interesting sock blend. I had never seen sock yarn with bamboo in it before. This color is Spun Sugar, and it certainly is a beautiful neutral. It's got that cream base, but then there's pops of like light browns and nougaty colors, gray, and even a little bit of that mauvey purple that I have in the toe here. So I think it's knitting up beautifully. It kind of reminds me of that like sand art that you would see at like craft shows. And I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but I'm absolutely loving the way it's knitting up. When I bought it, I thought it maybe was like a true self-striping yarn, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna like that, but I really love the texture that it is giving. It's a little more unpredictable. So yes, I've really been enjoying knitting these up. I knit the entire toe while Jess was here and we were hanging out. I think I tried Magic Loop early on in my sock knitting journey, and I was new to knitting entirely at that point, and it just wasn't intuitive for me. I wasn't using a needle with a good cable that's like flexible and soft like the Chiaogu cable, and I got horrible laddering on the sides, and it just kind of put me off of it. But now that I've come back to it and tried again with more practice and a better tools, you can see I don't have any laddering on the sides at all. And I don't know if that's down to just improvement in my own technique, improvement in tools. I couldn't tell you, but it was so helpful to have Jess like show me and teach me how to do it in person. You know, like I've been knitting obsessively for almost 3 years at this point, but I really think that there's always something more for us to learn or refine. And Jess is a teacher, and it was just so great and helpful to have her there to show me how to do it, tell me if I was doing something wrong. And you know, I just think we can always learn from each other, no matter how experienced we are or how many pairs of socks we've knit. So that was really special, and I feel like I've learned a wonderful new technique. I don't know if I'm converted yet. I think DPNs will always be my first love, but I'm definitely gonna finish this pair using Magic Loop and see how I get on. And it's just nice to know that when I have used up all of my other sock needles for my 19 other sock projects, I can always come back to Magic Loop. And just, I needed to learn how to do it, because there are a lot of circumstances, not just for socks, like for sleeves on garments, where sometimes it's much like doing Magic Loop is the easiest option. And I've gotten by using smaller circumference needles or DPNs, but sometimes Magic Loop would definitely be preferable. So very happy that I've learned, very happy to keep working on these. Like I said, this is gonna be a true afterthought heel, so I'm pretty much going to need to just decide how long does my foot need to be, how long do I want my leg to be. Knit that length, I think the pattern calls for just a little 1/2 inch of ribbing at the top. And then once I bind off, I'll be cutting in the afterthought heel in the same mauve color. So yes, I got quite a bit of progress on these done last night. Almost all of the knitting on the foot in the variegated color while I was watching the Taylor Swift Eras tour movie with my friend. So we were having a little sing-along and knitting socks together. So that is my second sock whip. I am still working on my second Valentine's Day colorwork sock, but I haven't picked it up since the last podcast. So I will finish it eventually, but I have nothing new to show you today. So those are all the socks. Where to put the extra projects. All right. Next one is a new cast on I cast on this morning. So this comes with a quick side story before I show you. Also, while Jess was here, I was showing her all my projects and we were just talking, and we were talking about my botanic shawl, which was a project I've been working on for a little while. I think I cast it on in December. That was using my Camellia Fiber Co. Advent mini skeins. And just the more we were talking about it, the more I was looking at it. I haven't been motivated to work on it at all recently, and I ultimately decided that I was going to frog it and just put those mini skeins into my scrap blanket, my crochet granny square scrap blanket, because if I'm being honest with myself, the colors were not something I was gonna wear in a garment. They were just shades that aren't really good for me to wear. And they were all very similar, so it wasn't really like a fade. There wasn't a lot of variation in it that was keeping me interested in the shawl. And I just wasn't feeling inspired by them or the project. So I decided to frog it, and I did. And like I said, I've added all those minis into my, well, I first added them into my fingering weight yarn scrap bin. So if I want to use them in socks, I can. But once I use them, or if I don't get around to it, they're all gonna get plopped into my scrap yarn blanket. And I feel good about that. I feel like what I've learned is that I am probably not a like mystery Advent person. I think they're so fun. It's so fun to open them every day and get all the little extra things. But even from a yarn dyer that I love, everything I've bought from Camellia Fiber Company that I saw first, I love a lot of their bases. I'm using some of her yarn in a project I'll be showing you right after this, but I was just not thrilled with the Advent. And that's okay. It was the first and only one I think I ever did. I mean, it was definitely the only one I ever did. And I think what I learned from it is that the investment is too big for the risk for me. So, you know, this was just a half Advent, but these Advents can be really pricey, and just not knowing what you're gonna get and then being disappointed in it is not a great feeling. So happy to add those yarns into my scrappy stash, but I think I will probably not plan to purchase another mini skein advent this year, and that's what I learned. So all that aside, I had frogged my botanic shawl and kind of wanted to cast on a different shawl. So this morning I was catching up on a bunch of knitting podcasts, and I was watching Andrea Mowry's latest episode from Friday. So yeah, that came out yesterday. And she was talking all about her new shawl, the Melt shawl. And when I first saw it on Ravelry and Instagram, it didn't like immediately spark my interest, but when I heard her talking about it and showing the details, I was like, I want to cast it on right now. So I literally paused the video and went in my stash and like did some stash diving to try and figure out what I could cast this shawl on with. and then I did, and I'm about to show you my progress. So yeah, this was all done today. So the shawl is knit with DK weight yarn, which is a bit different and also really nice. It works up so quickly, and I love working with DK weight yarn. So my main color, you need 3 skeins of DK for the main color. I should say for the smaller size. There are 2 sizes in the pattern. I'm making the smaller one because that's what I had yarn for. And that's the one that Andrea is wearing in the pictures, and it looks plenty big to me. So this is my main color. I just recently got this secondhand, and the yarn is Julie Asselon Lizu DK. The color is Jardin de Tuileries, and it's 90% superwash merino, 10% silk. So it is really nice. It's very lustrous. It has a wonderful drape. What I will say is that it does not have a lot of bounce or recovery or stretch. So the yarn is quite firm, which is fine. It's just there are a lot of make ones in this pattern, and the make ones are a little bit tricky because there's no give in the yarn. It's quite sturdy. However, the color is beautiful. It's just this really light purple with some subtle variegation. Very nice. So I have 3 skeins of this, and then my contrast color, my color B, my first contrast color is this. So this is Madeline Tosh DK Twist. It is 100% merino wool. I don't even know if I don't think it's superwash, although it kind of feels like superwash, so I'm not sure. The color is Canyon Bends. So it's just this really beautiful, like rusty orange color. And I thought those were really pretty together. And then my final contrast color is where I'm mixing it up a bit. So I didn't have another skein of DK weight yarn that I thought went really well with these 2. So I thought, what if I put in some fluff instead? Because I have these 2 really fun skeins of Surrey, hand-dyed Surrey. So here they are. I had initially bought these to hold them double with a different yarn for, I don't even remember. Oh, for my ranunculus. I was gonna hold them with Newtoden, but I think they were a little bit too dark, and I ended up getting a different mohair for that. So yeah, then I had these 2 skeins of Surrey. The base is like a really dark raisiny purple, but there are all kinds of color pops in here. There's like blue, purple, yellow, there's some of that rusty color. So I'm holding these double as my 3rd color. So these 2 and this. All right, can you see it? I think it's coming together very fun. Oh, sorry, the Surrey. Oh God, I have the hiccups. I'm sorry. Okay, the Surrey is from Frogget Yarns, hand-dyed in Pennsylvania. This is a yarn truck. I purchased this at the wool gathering in Yellow Springs last summer, and the truck was there. So that was really cool. I've never been to a little yarn store truck before. This is their Surrey Silk Cloud base. It's 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% silk. It is very nice and soft. It's really lovely. So like I said, I just cast this on a few hours ago, and it knits up really quickly. So let me show you what I have. I got all this done like this morning. I will say there are going to be 1.5 million ends to weave in on this project. Here's the back. You can see all these ends are going to have to be woven in, but I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So you start down here, you cast on, it's all garter. There are some really fun little stripes. And then there is a striped brioche section, which I love. I love me some brioche. Then we go back to the garter stripes, another section of brioche, more garter stripes. So I love it. I'm loving this. It's so fun to knit. It's, like I said, working out very quickly. At first, I was not sure about the colors. I was like, these are a little outside my comfort zone. They're a little bit, I think her version works so well because her main color is variegated and it has a lot of her 2 solid colors in it. So there's a lot more like blending going on in her version of all the colors, whereas mine is a little bit more stark, like because my main color is just a solid tonal color. You're definitely seeing the stripes more and like the colors stand out from each other more, but I think it's cool. I think it's pretty. I really like it. I love the main color. I think up close you can really see a lot of the other little colors popping in the mohair. And I think having the orange in the middle is just, I don't know, I like the way it's working out. It does feel a little more fall than spring, I suppose, just because I really associate that like rusty orange color with fall. But yes, I'm having a lot of fun knitting it. It has I-cord edges on both sides. So I guess I'm jumping in on Andrea Mowry's March to May knit along on accident. I wasn't planning to, but I guess I have, because considering how fast this is going, I would be really surprised if I haven't finished it by the end of May. But yeah, I'm really having a lot of fun knitting it. This is 2-color brioche, so on the back it looks like this. I'm gonna have to figure out a good way to weave in all these ends. My thought was to just kind of tuck them all into the I-cord, but we'll see. Because I'd love for you to be able to see the back too, because I think it's really pretty. But yes, having a great time with this. I love brioche so much, especially 2-color brioche. I really love Andrea Mowry shawl patterns. I think they're just great. Like, there's enough variety in them to keep you interested, but they're not difficult, So yes, very much enjoying this. Gonna probably keep working on it all day, and we'll see. I don't know if these are gonna end up being colors that like I love to wear, but I'm having so much fun knitting this. I could definitely see giving this as a gift to someone, or who knows, we'll see. So gonna keep plugging away on it, but very happy with how it is looking so far. I feel like this is also one of those projects that will just look completely different once you block it and it like grows and has all that nice drape. So yeah, just cast that on this morning and having a very good time with it. I'm sorry. I don't know when this cough is gonna go away. It seems like it's taking forever. Okay, so that is my melt shawl. Next, I have forgotten a whip. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back with another new cast on. Shocking turn of events. So I got the itch to finally cast on a warm weather garment, and I just kind of went for it. So I have cast on the Summer Souffle by Laura Penrose. I will put a picture of what it looks like in here. The pattern is available up to a 70.5 inch bust. She does have 2 different gauges in the pattern. So that is the larger gauge, the 20 stitches per 4 inches. At the smaller gauge, it is still size inclusive. It's just a smaller range with less ease. I'm making size 6 at the larger gauge, which I'm hoping is going to give me around a 51 inch bust with about 7 inches of positive ease. I think my gauge is truthfully somewhere in the middle. I think so the gauges in the pattern are 20 stitches or 22 stitches. I think mine is around 21. So I think I might end up with closer to 4 inches of positive ease, but that is totally fine with me. That is why I picked the larger size. and I think it will fit just fine either way. I am knitting this out of some cotton yarn I got secondhand last summer. It is Busy Peach Fibers, 100% Pima cotton, DK weight. The color is Bilberry, and it is just this, it is very similar to the color that I'm wearing right now, I'm realizing. It's a little bit darker and a little bit richer. You can see how like lustrous the yarn is. It's so, so beautiful. This is one of the softest, it's definitely my favorite cotton yarn I've ever used. I really just love this base. It's so nice and soft to work with, and I cannot wait to wear it. So I have 3 skeins of this. 2 of them are this exact color. The third one is quite a bit darker. So I had initially last summer cast on, I think the Wood Anemone Tea by Sari Nordland. Why do 2 of my favorite designers have to have such similar names? It's fine. I had initially cast on that Wood Anemone Tea by Sari Nordland, and I wasn't gonna have enough yarn, so I had to frog it. And I was alternating skeins, and it was just kind of a pain. So I've been kind of waiting for like the perfect pattern for this yarn to come along, knowing that I have this one skein that's so much darker. And I think the Summer Souffle is gonna be perfect for this, because my thought is that I can knit the yoke above the ruffle in the darker color and knit the ruffle hopefully in the darker color, and then switch to the lighter color so that it looks a little more intentional, that like the top portion is the darker color. And I think I will have enough yarn to finish that. And then the sleeves and the body will be the slightly lighter color. So I don't have a lot to show, but I have started it. Here's what I have. I realize this is the same exact color as what I'm wearing. Let me go over here. So I have just cast on the neckline. The pattern called for 1.5 inches of ribbing. I think I did closer to 1 inch just because I do prefer a little bit more of an open neckline. And I've done the first few rounds of increases. And yeah, I mean, you're basically just making a round yoke tee and then adding a ruffle. So it has a nice open gauge. I think it'll be so nice to wear. There's quite a few short rows, which I really appreciate. The one other thing I have changed aside from the depth of the neckline so far is that I am using left lifted increases for my yoke increases instead of make ones. Just because I think they're a little bit easier as you're working around, and I think they're a little bit less visible. So you do still get a little bit of an eyelet, but I think in the grand scheme of things, they look really nice and clean. So yeah, I mean, there's a round right there. You can barely see it. So yes, I am really enjoying this as just kind of a super simple stockinette project, which is what it will be until it's time to add the ruffle at the very end. So yes, I think I will get a lot of wear out of this summer, and I'm excited to keep working on it. All right, next up, I'm obsessed with this project right now. It's another blue sweater. It's like I have a color palette or something. So this is my Poetry Pullover Mohair Edition by Sari Nordland. This is the one I was saying I'm using Camellia Fiber Co. yarn for. And I am using their organic merino fingering weight base. The color is Midnight. This is more of a blue-gray, almost like tealy blue. Compared to what I'm wearing, it's much dustier. And I'm using the matching mohair as well. Mohair is, oh my God, I literally just threw them on the floor. Oh goodness, okay, well, 1 second. All right, the mohair is a bit lighter. That's all I was trying to say. Okay, so Sari Nordland is hosting this knit along right now because Taylor Swift has announced her album, her next album, The Tortured Poets Department, is coming out on April 19th. And to celebrate that, and just for fun, Sari is hosting the Poetry KAL. So any of the poet patterns are up for this KAL. Socks any of the different sweaters. She's also designing a few more tee and like summer top versions, which are looking really cute. So the poetry pullover has been something I've wanted to knit since I first started knitting and saw some saris patterns. I love this sweater. This is my favorite ever lace pattern. I've made the socks. They're beautiful. It's fairly easy to knit and I just love it. So when she announced this KAL, I thought I must knit it now for the KAL. I have to. So, and the yarn is Midnight. So it's a very like Taylor Swift, perfect amalgamation, poetry sweater. The yarn is Midnight. It feels right. So I finished the yoke. Here's what I have. It's a bit hard to see just because it's bunched up on the cable, but I hope you can see the beautiful lace texture that is emerging here. So since you last saw it, I have sewn down the folded neckline. So you can see that there, sewn down on the inside. Still has plenty of stretch to it. And I finished the yoke. So I've just started the body. I've only knit a couple of rounds on it, but I am so in love with this. I barely even have words. Like, it is just gonna be so good. This lace pattern is beautiful. I love the color. It's so soft and fluffy from the mohair. It's a good one, you guys. It's round yoke, which I know I just showed you the summer souffle and that's also a round yoke, but the summer souffle has short rows. This sweater I don't think has short rows, and I understand why, because you don't want to interrupt the lace pattern, but that does make me a little bit concerned about how it's going to feel on my neck when I'm wearing it, and maybe I can do some like blocking magic. But I did shorten the collar on this as well because I was afraid it would be choking me if I knit it to the full length, but I think it looks really nice still. The collar is twisted rib, and yeah, you can just see this beautiful lace pattern. I love the seed stitch. It's really not as hard as it might look. It's a long repeat, but each row is very easy to memorize. If I didn't already say, this is available up to a 66.25 inch bust. I'm knitting size 5, which is about a 50 inch bust, giving me about 6 inches of positive ease. And I really love it. I'm very, very excited about it. I know the yoke is like a huge chunk of it. I still don't know if I'll finish it by April 19th. That feels a little unrealistic. We'll see. Maybe I'll pull it out, but I have so many projects that I'm excited about right now. It feels unrealistic. I think I would have to focus almost solely on this to get it done in time, and I don't know if I'm gonna do that or not, but I'm just glad that the KAL at least inspired me to get started on it, and yeah, I'm very pleased, very excited. Let me know if any of you are joining in this KAL as well. I think it's being hosted over on Sari's Ravelry page. I love this. So good. All right, last whip is also a new cast on. I've been casting on all over the place lately. So last time, I think I showed you progress on my scrappy granny square blanket where I'm holding the yarns together and just making a big granny square. And I was loving working on it so much while I was sick because it was just mindless, and like when I didn't even have the energy to knit, I could pick that up and still work on it and not have to think about it. And I ran out of scraps and I really missed my crochet project. So I cast on another crochet blanket. I had a bunch of skeins of DK weight yarn in my stash, like one-offs that I had gotten at various D-stash events. And they're all shades of purple and neutral and brown. And I think I've showed them on here before because I was planning to use them for the heirloom quilt cardigan, which is a beautiful design. However, the more that I saw pictures of the cardigan on Instagram or on Ravelry, I really don't think I would like the way it fits on me. It just kind of doesn't look like it fits that well. I haven't seen a single one where I'm like, oh yeah, that fit would look good on me. So I just kind of talked myself out of it, and I also think I know that I have a tendency not to finish projects where you have to make a bunch of little squares first and then assemble them, let alone like flat colorwork squares. So as beautiful as I think the pattern is, and everybody's versions are beautiful, I just kind of decided that that wasn't for me. So I decided to take that big pile, those 9 skeins of DK weight yarn, and make them into a crochet blanket instead. And I kind of had to talk myself into this because at first I was like, no, I can't use all those like Madeline Tosh yarns in a blanket. Like that would be like a waste. And the more I interrogated that, I was like, this is silly. Like, I like these yarns. I will enjoy making the blanket more if I'm using nice yarn, and I will still love these yarns in a blanket. Like, why do I feel like it's wrong to like make a blanket instead of a garment? So I had to interrogate that a little bit, and ultimately I just decided to cast it on, and I'm so glad I did because I'm loving working on it and loving having it as a crochet project where I don't have to build up scraps. I just know it's there when I want to work on it. So I have this folded up right now to show you, but I am making a granny stripe blanket. So here is what I have. Again, it's all folded up because it's just a big long stripe right now. So I cast on widthwise, like if the blanket was on my lap, like across me, and here it is folded in half. So it is going to be fairly wide. Like this will be a big blanket. And I just decided, I picked the order I wanted to do the stripes in, and I'm just gonna repeat that. So what I have finished is the first repeat of all 9 colors. So it looks so good. I really love it. So I started with this really pretty dark purple, and then we have like a lighter pink, a kind of browny gray, this really pretty variegated warmer color. This is kind of like a light peachy color. This is my favorite one. It's like a variegated purple that kind of pulls a lot of those colors in. This one is a more true gray. This is more of a cream. And then an extra skein that I had of the chocolate colored Yak DK from Camellia Fiber Co. So these are all superwash DK weight yarns. I think they look so pretty together, and I'm really enjoying this project. So I chained, I made a foundation chain in the dark purple that was, I think, 202 stitches. And then I just started the granny motif, and I'm working back and forth 1 row at a time, and I'm loving it. I'm using a pretty big pretty big hook for this, just because that's what I had around and I didn't feel like buying another tool to make this, and it's working out just fine, and it has a really nice drape to it. So yes, here is my crochet granny stripe blanket that I started, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm just about to start repeating the stripes. So next will be the dark purple, the pink, etc. And I'll just keep going in that order until I run out of yarn, I guess. So yeah, I feel really good about this and excited about it. This will be a long-term project, I'm sure, but it's really nice to have something like this when you need it. So that is my new blanket and my last whip. I am going to switch to acquisitions, which I have in this basket. So let me just do a little rearranging here. Okay, so it's been a few weeks, like I said, since the last podcast, and in that time I've done some traveling, I've had a visitor, and I have bought a couple little things. So aside from the yarn for the chicken, which I already showed you, let me show you what else I got in Chicago. So we went to Nina Chicago, which is a really beautiful yarn store, super close to my friend's condo. We just had a great time, and I was there with my friend Mariah, the one I was watching the Taylor Swift movie with, who is learning how to knit socks. So we got to go together and pick out yarn for her first socks. She found a skein of Malabrigo that she like fell in love with and is gonna make a hat with. So that was really fun to like be there for her first real like yarn store shopping experience. And we cast on socks together that weekend while we were hanging out. But anyway, Nina Chicago, beautiful yarn store. They had some fabrics as well and a really nice seating area where you could hang out and knit. So if you're ever in Chicago, I definitely recommend checking that store out. It was really, really nice. And while we were there, got a couple of things. So the first is that I got 3 skeins of this, which is Ritual Dyes Priestess Base. The color is Sugar Maple. This is DK weight and it's 100% superwash fine merino. And it's such a pretty autumnal color, variegated, rust brown, tan. I got 3 skeins of this and I'm going to make a cardigan for my friend Mariah's son. So yes, I think I'm gonna make the Hannah cardigan. I can put a little picture in here. It's an all over fisherman, I think it's half fisherman's rib, not sure. And then there are options for either a double knit button band or a traditional rib button band. So I'm probably gonna do the rib button band. And I'm excited to cast this on at some point over the summer. So the little guy has it in time for fall and he'll have like a little grandpa cardigan. Very cute. The other thing I picked up there was a skein of sock yarn to complete my palette, hopefully, for Sari Nordland's Summer Sock Knit Along, which traditionally goes from May to August, I believe. Yes. So it's 4 months in the summer. I've participated in it every year since I started knitting, and you always need 3 skeins of sock yarn to make 4 pairs of socks. So they can be different, but you want them to be friendly because usually in the last pair, they all are used together in like stripes or color work. So the first one I have, and you may have already seen some of these, Jess gifted me this really beautiful skein of yarn from Coast to Coast Yarn Company. This is honestly one of my favorite skeins of yarn I've ever owned. It's their classic sock base. It's an 80-20 blend and the color is Sprinkle. And it's just this beautiful warm tan base with these white, like creamy white sections that have rainbow sprinkles in them. So beautiful. I think this will make such an amazing neutral pair of socks. I'm very excited for this. Then I bought a skein a while back of the Sagittarius color on Ritual Dyes Maiden sock yarn base in this really dark purple because I'm a sucker for zodiac things. And when I saw them together, I thought that these would be perfect for the summer sock KAL. There are some of those dark purple speckles in here. So I was kind of shopping for what is my third color gonna be. And I saw this yarn at Nina Chicago that I thought would be perfect. And that was this really pretty raspberry color. So this is Northern Bee Studio. It is their yak sock. It's 20% yak, 10% nylon, 70% superwash merino. It is beautiful. I have not yet used a yak sock base, and this is just beautiful. It's so soft, so drapey. The color is the Madam's Velvet Couch, which is a vibe. And I thought that would be really nice as the third color. And honestly, seeing them on camera, I'm like, yeah, they're really good together because you can see a lot of speckles in this color in the middle yarn there. So I am thinking that these are going to be my summer sock yarns for this year. We'll see. If I find one I love more than this, that's a little bit more of a mid-tone, I may switch one out, but right now I feel really excited about using the 3 of these together. All right, next up was a purchase I made. La Mercerie, which is just one of my favorite yarn stores. It is probably my favorite yarn store I've ever been to. I was lucky enough to have the chance to visit them out on Bainbridge Island in the fall, and I'm really happy for them. They just announced they're moving into like their dream space, so couldn't be happier for them. But they also just celebrated a birthday and made a special sock yarn set in collaboration with Moondrake. And I mean, I had to. Do you see this? Do you see this? Okay, so this sock set is called Birthday Cake. The main yarn is Sparkles Stardust, and it is 80% superfine merino, 15% nep, 5% stellina. So it is sparkly. The mini is 60% superwash, 20% nylon, 20% silk. So really beautiful blends. The main color is just so fun. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see the stellina. I hope that you can, but it's like rainbow stellina. It's a really pretty light pink, maybe looking a little more yellow on the screen. Has all kinds of little colorful neps in it. There, maybe there you can see the rainbow stellina. Wow, why is that like, oh, there, maybe if I rotate it, you can see a little sparkle. And then this neon pink, I just couldn't resist, and I love it. Very excited to knit these up. I don't know, part of me feels like I should save it for my birthday, but that's not until November, which seems sad, so we'll see. I feel like this would also be a great set for one of the other like basic sock patterns in Summerlee's book, so we'll see. It's very cute and I love it. And last but not least, like I said, Jess came to visit and brought some presents. She, aside from getting me the sock needles, also brought me a skein of yarn, and it's so pretty. So this is what she brought me. It is such a beautiful neutral. So this is Craft Me Not Yarn Company from Pennsylvania. It is their sock base, 80% superwash nylon, no, superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's 400 yards for 100 grams, so it's a little bit on the chunkier side for a sock yarn. And the color is Lurelin at Dusk. Not sure what that is. And it was a trial skein, so I think it was kind of like a one-off. But it is all my favorite dusty mauve-y neutrals, pinks, purples, a little bit of green. I absolutely love it. It kind of reminds me of like abalone, like the inside of a shell. Like it's just really beautiful. So that was so nice of her. Add it to my sock skein pile. So pretty. Really looking forward to using that. Okay, that's it for acquisitions. So I was gonna do a little bit of chat. I'm sure this is gonna be a long episode, but first I wanted to just talk a little bit about some cast on plans. And I was also going to tell you about frogging my botanic shawl, but I already did that. So I mentioned I'm going to cast on that Hannah cardigan soon. The other thing I'm planning to cast on is the Lauder cardigan. So this is a new pattern coming from Rebecca Clow. I think it's coming out next Friday. Here's a picture of, if I can find a picture of the V-neck version I want to knit, I'll put that in. Yes, I want to make the V-neck cardigan. This is an all over cable cardigan. It's really pretty. I love those like braided cables. And I think now that I'm really confident knitting without like cables without a cable needle, I think this is the kind of cables I really like want that are easily memorizable. And I'm very much looking forward to casting this on. So when I decided I wasn't going to make the heirloom quilt cardigan, that not only freed up the 9 skeins of yarn for my crochet blanket, but it also freed up 6 skeins of DK weight yarn that I was going to use for the main color in that cardigan. So I had like 15 skeins of yarn just sitting around waiting to be that cardigan, and now instead it's going to be a different cardigan and a blanket. So I have those set aside. It is a really pretty like chocolatey brown color. I'm not gonna pull them right now just because I'm sure I'll show you once I cast it on, but I am really looking forward to casting that on. And I'm sure I will impulsively cast on some other summer project as well. I've been looking at the Oolong Tea by Amy Scher Knits. I have a yarn in my stash that I think would be really good. I think it's Kelborn Woolens. I don't know if it's their camper base. That doesn't sound right. It's their cotton base. It's like a, oh no, it's Mojave. yeah, I think that's right. It's their cotton base, and it's like a really dark, rich bluish gray. I think that would be really pretty in the oolong tank. So that's been kind of catching my eye. Let me know down below what you're planning to cast on next, or like a spring summer pattern that you're really excited about. I am really enjoying all of my Reckless cast-ons lately. I was gonna also quickly tell you about our trip to Chicago. So like I said, we went to visit our friend. She is just finishing up medical school and has a little bit of free time now, so we went to hang out with her. We did lots of like classic Chicago things just because, you know, we at that point didn't know where she would end up for her residency, and we were like, this could be the last time we're visiting you in Chicago. Let's do like all the things. So, you know, we had deep dish pizza. We did the architectural boat tour, which is really amazing. I would really recommend it if you're ever in Chicago. It was like $40 for this 2-hour tour where you go on a boat up and down the Chicago River and see all of the amazing architecture. It's so cool because the river just goes right through the middle of the city, and you really can see so much from the river, which is not really the case in like New York or something. Obviously, New York has these rivers on either side, but a lot of the architecture you want to see there is on the interior of the city, and you wouldn't be able to see it from the river the way that you can in Chicago. So that was very cool. Would definitely recommend. We went bowling. We went to some amazing bakeries and coffee shops. Specifically have to shout out Mendy's as an amazing bakery. And the most fun thing we did, I think, was the magic show. So there's a place called the Chicago Magic Lounge, which is a speakeasy magic show / bar. So you go in and it looks like you're in a little tiny laundromat, and then you go through the washing machine, like it's like a door. And then inside there's a whole bar and like a little magic library. So we went and we're hanging out at the bar, and there was a magician doing tricks at the bar while we were having cocktails. And then you go through a different secret door, and there's this whole huge auditorium where they do a stage show. And so there was like an hour of like cocktail hour at your table. So it was all table seating. You went in, you like ordered food and drinks. And then while that was happening, magicians were coming around and like doing tricks at your table. Our minds were blown. Then there was a stage show with a couple of different magicians. And then we had premium tickets, which we didn't realize. So then we also got an extra special private show at the end, which only had like 25 people maybe in the audience. So it was a lot of magic, but it was all very, very cool and fun. And I would also definitely recommend checking that out if you're in Chicago. I think it was just something really fun and different to do, and we had a great time. So yeah, definitely recommend the Chicago Magic Lounge. And it was really good to spend some time with our friend and spend some time in Chicago. So we have since found out she's going to be staying there. So more trips to Chicago in the future, I'm sure. But that was it for that one. And then last but not least, this week, crazy work week. We had one of our like week-long meetings. It's just a lot, but I was so happy that my friend Jess could come and visit from out of town. We met through the La Mercerie Winter Wishes sock swap a couple of years ago. We got paired up for that and just kind of started talking and like realized we had a lot in common, and we've had a lot of like Zoom calls over the past year or so, and it was just so nice to finally get to meet her in person. Sorry. And I'm sure, Jess, if you're watching, hi, and thank you for coming to visit me. Yeah, it was really great. You know, I have a couple of other friends in the area locally that knit, but it's not like to the same level of obsession as me. So I feel like we could really just like talk for hours about knitting and everything else in life. But yeah, so she came and we went to Gamut for dinner, which is where we host the craft nights, which there was not one this week for her to go to, but I thought we could just go ourselves and have our own little craft night. And then we just came home and hung out. She taught me how to knit magic loop, and it was really, really fun. I wish we could have spent more time together. We really just got to hang out the one night, but it was really fun. I was so glad to meet her in person, and it just goes to show that you can make real friends on the internet and you can make real friends through your craft. So I would definitely, when I started this podcast, that was like my main goal, was to like increase my community online and in real life with other crafters. And I am so glad that I've made this friend through Instagram and knitting and all of these things. So yeah, if you are out there trying to like make other crafty friends, it is definitely possible. So I hope that you're able to find those kind of connections if that's something that you are also looking for. So that was wonderful. And I think that's all I have for you. So I'm afraid at how long this podcast is going to be. This clip alone is 31 minutes. So I'm going to stop here. I will try to be back in 2 weeks instead of 3 weeks next time. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, please subscribe, do all the YouTube things so we can just continue growing our community and keep getting to know each other. And thank you so much for watching. Please do leave me a comment. I love to read your comments. And I hope you get lots of crafting time in the next couple of weeks, and I will see you next time. Bye.